Good evening, everyone. Let me know on the stream if you can hear me. So I hope everyone's well tonight. So let's just say hello to everyone who's come in. Sir Boris, welcome. Owen, welcome. Billy from Belfast, welcome to the stream. English Viking, I hope you're well. Stu, I hope you're well. Zoe Castles, I hope you're well. It's the Lambrini he needs to put down. Killer, welcome back. Luby Lou, hope you're well. Brexit Central, hope you're well. My hamster died in the tragic accident. It fell asleep at the wheel. Mark, Ify, welcome. Monkey, how's it going? Can hear, that's great. So I hope everyone's very well. Peter, welcome. So I'll just welcome in some people as they pop in. Electric Freak, hi. Long time no see. So I hope everyone's IFC, welcome. I hope everyone's very well. Peter, I hope you're well. Dubstepping 23, I hope you're well. Just an American passing through. So I'm going to see a video later with the governor of New York, and I want to give a comparison between him and the way he does his daily briefings on Donald Trump. Ilido, I know I mispronounced it. Carmona, welcome. David Clay, welcome. Macs are better than Macs are better than PCs. Welcome once again. So just to give you guys a bit of an update what's happening here in Italy. So we're due to end our lockdown on the 4th of May, but there's talk that it may actually depend on... So just a moment, Max. When this is all over, can you see yourself replacing Graham Norton for Eurovision? I'd love to do that. But don't touch Graham Norton, he's fantastic. Drew, welcome. So we're due to end our lockdown on the 4th of May, and there has been talk about different regions being rolled out of the lockdown at different stages. So, for example, where Rome is, the region of Lazio, it will probably be one of the first released from the lockdown because of the lower number of cases in respect to, for example, Lombardy, where Milan is, and where I am in Veneto. There has been some stores have opened, although I haven't seen them because I live in a very small town. But some stores have opened, generally children's clothes shops, stationery shops, florists, and a few others. But ones that I'm interested in, pubs and cafes, are still closed, unfortunately. Hi Ian, I hope you're well. He was fantastic in Father Ted. yes. I don't. If you're not familiar with Graham Norton, he actually, I think one of his first roles on TV was in Father Ted. He played a gay priest who was extremely repressed, and he loved singing. I think it was. He was very, very funny. Max, what do you think about the virtual parliament, and what do you think? And do you think Sinn Féin would join? They don't have to take the real seat. That's a very interesting question, Zoe. So Sinn Féin have always abstained from sitting in parliament for political reasons. And if there's a virtual parliament, well, technically they're not sitting in parliament, but I think they would see it as it's not so much the physical aspect as the political acceptance attitude, and they would say, look, we it's not that we're not sitting in parliament for physical reasons. It's because of we disagree with Parliament's role in Northern Ireland, so that's why we're not sitting in it. So I don't think they would take part in any virtual parliament. It's actually something I disagree with. I understand it. I understand their position of not accepting British control in Northern Ireland, for example. I understand that position, but I disagree with it because people have elected them to represent them. And, you know, politics aside, there are many things that many people care about. You know, schools, education, health, taxes, things like that, that it would be important that you have a member of Parliament representing your interests in Westminster. So from a practical point of view, I disagree with their stance, but I understand at the same time their political motivations. Far too happy for any priest. What about the rashes on the feet? Because I've heard, yes. So that was so this is a new symptom. I was actually going to start reading an article about that, about these COVID-19 rashes on your feet, and I got distracted. I don't remember. Maybe I was thinking of the calendar or something like that. But I was about to read it, and then I switched, and I wanted to go back, and I had forgotten. But that's something very interesting. Welcome to the new people who come on the stream. Andy, if I didn't say hello before. Captain, welcome. I'm dying for a pint in a pub. I don't drink at home. Yeah, so I was reading, I don't remember where it was, but I was reading in one of the newspapers that pubs in the UK probably won't open this side of Christmas because it's very difficult to maintain social distancing. Now, another interesting article I read today was about the airline industry and how cheap flights could soon become a thing of the past because airlines won't be able to guarantee social distancing if they cram them in like Ryanair. So what they'll have to do instead is maintain some type of distance between passengers, which will mean empty seats, which will mean higher fares or fewer flights. So if you're buying tickets, probably now is the time to buy a ticket wherever you're going to go, because they are going to go up in price. But God knows how long we have to wait until the airports are open again, and you can fly. So of course there are flights at the moment, but they are limited. So I uploaded a video about some flights. So just move this down. We don't want to see ads. I did upload a video about flights, moving around Europe. There are, a great reduction in flights, but there are still flights. So I haven't really looked online. I had a look just out of curiosity the other day about flights in Italy to London, for example, and I had trouble finding flights. But you know what I'll do? Something quite interesting. Let me just have a quick look. We can do it in real time. I'll just paste it into the stream so you can see it. And then I'll come back to this article later. Hopefully we will be able to see it. So for example, here, Google Flights. So this is like Skyscanner or some of those tools. If you tell me if you can see it. I'll just jump back to the stream again for a moment. Isn't oil pretty cheap at the moment? Oil is very cheap. It's costing more to produce it than to sell it. That's why the price dropped to minus $39 a barrel or something. I think it has increased again to about $2 a barrel, which is extremely low. But of course, you can guarantee that you won't see very low prices at the pump, you may, but it will be 6 months from now probably. Unfortunately, calendars don't have to care about social distance. It's the greatness of cargo shipping. Did your government bail out the airports like here in the US? Not that I know of. I haven't heard any news about. Let's see, London, about airports being bailed out. So let's say not next. Let's say next week. See if we can see a flight from next Monday. Isn't that interesting? Good evening, John. So we have flights here next Monday from Milan to London. 46 euros. Very good. If I click on this, not sure why it's not opening. To Stansted for 46 euro. Okay, does that make sense to anyone? Because I had assumed that all flights to London, for example, from Italy were cancelled, but you can fly from Milan to London Stansted. Magister, welcome. That's really weird. Let's see if I can go back. Let's say to another city. Well, let's see if we can go to New York. JFK. Travel restricted. With Lufthansa. That's interesting. Okay. He makes sure. Can we make sure Lazio can never get to travel again? Yes. Good evening. Do passengers that fly from Milan to UK 2 weeks quarantine in the UK? I don't think so. I don't think there are any real checks taking place. Now, maybe in Heathrow, but in Stansted, I haven't heard of any checks taking place. But I because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not happening. No, you can fly from any hot zone to the UK and get through without being checked. Wonderful. No flights are still running and 0 checks at UK airports. Owen says that's ridiculous. The thing with being on the aircraft, it doesn't matter if you're social distance. You're all stuck in an aluminium tube sharing the same air. Yeah. Unless you're going to have to wear a mask for 2.5 hours, or a ventilator, some type of portable oxygen mask, oxygen tank or something with you, or a spacesuit. That's what we could do. Get Elon Musk to design some spacesuits that we can all wear. Your own personal suit to protect you from the air of the cabin. But that's weird. I had actually thought that all flights had been cancelled, but you can see here you can get flights also to the United States. It's quite expensive. It's 13. Well, that's for next week. Of course, that would be expensive. Okay. So we'll just wait for some more people to come on the stream, and I'm going to share this story with you. I have a number of stories we're going to look at tonight. If Bozo was PM during World War II, he would have bombed the race. Straight off the plane and into the train into London. Not even a basic temperature check. City COVID killed city pollution, oil prices, a chunk of Wall Street, and some of the fat sharks. Fat shaming, including the fats. So what the hell do we even fight this wonderful thing? It's killed a lot of things. Also, I heard about Instagram. What do you call it? Influencing. It killed influencing by Instagram for some reason. I don't know why or how, but allegedly it has. What were the restrictions? I tried to open it, but I clicked on it a number of times. I think it's because of the software I'm using. But you're free to check it out yourself. Do check it out to see what the restrictions are. Probably you have to fly alone and you're not flying with other people, or that there will be checks. I imagine there are checks taking place in US airports, but maybe not. Global Twig, welcome. Cotton Cat, welcome. Jerry, welcome. Sorry if I haven't said welcome to you before. Are good masks that hard to get? What about the drop down? We're about to crash. We're about to crash ones. Those ones are pretty crappy, actually. They're just too. They're not. As far as I know, they allow you to breathe through them, so they don't actually protect you from, for example, smoke. If there's smoke in the plane, those masks won't actually protect you. They just give you a boost of oxygen if you lose cabin pressure, but they don't actually protect you from anything. Will cinemas be a thing of the past since new releases are being? That's an interesting one, Killer. I was thinking about that. How are they going to open cinemas if they can't, maintain social distancing? Now, I think some places may be able to work something out. Maybe they could have like one aisle. No, not even that. I was thinking one aisle empty and one aisle full, but you can't do that. You have to have people, one seat, every other seat would be empty. But then you'd, having a cinema of, just say 100 seats, you'd have like 25 people probably making up, or less, at least less than half of it, I imagine. So that'd be a disaster. And yeah, I think streaming is going to be the way to go. Cinemas are probably going to close down. Pubs, as I said before, are going to have a big issue. You won't be able to congregate in a pub. You won't be able to stand at the bar, sit at the bar. These are things, that we have taken for granted, just until a couple of months ago, even a month ago. And now it's all going to be history. Bashiro, welcome. Suzanne, welcome. Sorry, cut my finger in preparing dinner. No, be careful. I've seen the cinema like that gone when there were only 3 people in. I think cinemas were already in a decline because of streaming, and I think this will be the last hit for them. A lot of them will close. It's sad as well because I understand the the overpriced drinks and the overpriced snacks and everything, but the cinema experience is something I really like. I really like seeing the blockbuster Star Wars movie or whatever on the big screen. So I'm going to miss that if we're not able to go back. So 1917 in January in London, the crowd at midday on Sunday was about 12 people. Drive-in cinema. That's it. Actually, well said, Cotton Cat. Yeah, drive-through, like in the 1950s. You come with your own car. The person who gives you the snacks wears gloves or a mask. That's actually a good idea. I think they are still common in some places. They had a festival here a few years ago in Italy where they had a drive-in cinema, and it was quite popular. That's a possible solution. You're maintaining social distancing in that way, but it's not the same. I like the sound was not as good as being in the real cinema though. 1-1, welcome. Hope you're well. Drive-through could make a comeback too, yeah. Yeah, instead of entering the fast food restaurant, the drive-through, which McDonald's already have, Burger King I think also, many of them already have that. What I noticed very prevalent on Facebook was a lot of advertising for home services, or delivery services. So for example, I saw an ad for dry cleaners where they will come, take your clothes, dry clean them and return them to you. Same for pastry. A friend of mine bought something like 10 or 12 pastries she normally would have for breakfast. So the pastry shop delivered them to her home and didn't charge anything extra. So there are many businesses seeing this as, okay, we don't have to close down completely. We can find another way around it. You can order a snack via an app. That's great. I doubt cinemas are finished. You can't get the big screen experience at home. As someone said, VR goggles cinema. I say, yeah, VR goggles. There is I think it's Samsung goggles, or maybe it was the Oculus. There's another brand of VR goggles that have an app called Cinema. And you sit in a cinema, so you just sit on your sofa, but you put on these goggles, and it's like being in a cinema. And you can change the lighting. You can sit wherever you want. You can invite your friends, so they can be avatars in the cinema too, watching the movie. And then, of course, you can rewind the movie. You can fast forward. You can stop it. But it's like being in a huge cinema. And then there are different options. You can have it as a traditional cinema with 500 seats or whatever, or you can have it as one of those those millionaires have their private cinema with maybe 30 seats, large sofa type seats. So that's a really cool app, and you can have it for the VR goggles. That's one way of doing it. I think maybe the production companies may go down that road. Plague game. Yes, dry cleaners doing here in Virginia, County Cavan. Oh, Virginia. I used to live near County Cavan. Can kiss big festivals like Glastonbury goodbye for a while or two. See, this is the thing. We're now in the mindset of social distancing. We can't, shake hands with people. We need to maintain a distance from them. But is it going to be always like that? Are we eventually going to get back to a time when, we go to concerts, when we shake hands with people, we hug, old friends and old people? Or are we always going to maintain this type of distance? I hope it's not going to be always like this. New cinema opened in my town in January after a few years of the town not having one. Will be a shame for if it closes. Yeah, that would be. But it's a terrible time to open a cinema. Also, in general, as I was saying, I think cinemas are somewhat in decline at the moment because of streaming, and because of a lot of these shows that you can, binge watch. Remember in the past where if you wanted to watch a show, you had to wait every week for the new episode to come out. And now with Netflix, you can watch all of them as you want. 1-1, thank you very much for that kind donation. You're very kind. Remember, guys, smash that like button. It helps bring more people onto the stream, promotes the channel as well. Can you shift the person sitting beside you? I think so. Okay. Shift. You need to explain the meaning of that word. UK, after 5 weeks of lockdown, have completely turned into Bengal treasure. I suppose once the vaccine is out, vaccine to come out, it will be mostly go back to normal. That's the thing about the vaccine, whether we'll have one, or first of all, yeah, whether we'll have one, then when will it arrive, and then will it be successful? Because there's a risk that it would. So there's the risk that we don't develop one, although I don't think that's likely. I think we will develop one. Then there's the time of when it will arrive, and then how successful will it be? Because we'll need new vaccines all the time, because of course different strains will appear. Consider it smashed. Great. Stop hunger. Random oldies. That's part of why we're in this shit we are in Italy. Oops. The real problem is that the quality of many of these shows is far superior to those of the films that are releasing. Exactly. Apart from The Mandalorian. What do you mean apart from The Mandalorian? For example, The Mandalorian. I loved The Mandalorian. I preferred The Mandalorian, the first season, to any of the new Star Wars movies. I'm a Star Wars fan, if you didn't know. And I loved the Mandalorian. Fantastic show. Funny, epic, gritty. And the CGI, the computer imagery is perfect. It's not in your face like some of the movies from 10, 15 years ago, where they said, oh, look, we have this tool we can use. Let's overuse it. So it's fantastic show. What more can I say? The story is very, very good. Armistice, welcome. Liz, welcome. Mandalorian is tops, yes. Baby Yoda. I love Baby Yoda. Everyone loves Baby Yoda. Life as we knew it 2 months ago is over for the next 2 or 3 years until we have a cheap worldwide vaccination program. Otherwise, it's whack-a-mole. I agree. Yeah, people are thinking, okay, once the numbers start to drop, we can return to normal. I'd like to return to normal, but we're not going to return to normal. We're going to return to a new normal. We're going to see a new normal where, as we said, a lot of businesses are going to go bust, but also a lot of new businesses will start up, things that we couldn't have imagined a few months ago. People do not respect their lives, or mine, where I live. How about where you live, Maximilian? One, where do you live? I think you had told me before. Apologies, I don't remember. People don't respect their lives. I think there's more respect actually today for each other. People are more friendly, even though they're wearing masks. I've noticed there seems to be more respect of each other, and I think it's also the somewhat related to the tension there is. No spoilers about Mandalorian. It's something related maybe to the tension that we tend to laugh and joke a bit more just to release the stress, because I think a lot of people are very stressed at the moment. Now, there has been an increase in domestic violence cases here, which is very sad. And of course, it's related to this cabin fever that people have been suffering. So we need to, hopefully we can get out of this as soon as possible. But the world we're seeing after this is going to be quite different. The new normal is working from home. Yeah, Macs are better than PCs, and a Mac is probably better than a PC for working at home. And I was talking on the last stream about how working from home will be a double-edged sword. It it will reduce pollution. You'll be able to spend more time with your family. You'll be able to do things outside normal working out. Like working hours will no longer exist. You'll just have the hours that you work, not the hours set by someone else. 9 to 5 or whatever will no longer exist. But the other side is that there will be no dividing line also between work and pleasure. We tend to finish our work and then go back to our families or whatever and relax, but that's going to all change. But I think that has already been something that was on the way out because of smartphones and connected devices. How people would be working from home, sending emails at midnight, or lying in bed and doing work on their phones or on their computers. So North London, Max, have been have to keep being aggressive to get people to stay away from me. I'm very sorry to hear that, one. Is it that people are not respecting social distancing, or people are just getting in your face? I love the Mandalorian spirit. Why are they attacking the Republic? Because it's a worthy enemy. Yes. I also like the grittiness, like the stormtroopers their armor's all dirty or whatever, because they have basically become mercenaries, and the property of warlords. So how it's a very, very good show, very interesting. If commuters use the tube and buses less, then they should not be forced to go by car. Bicycles and cycle lanes are the future. That's interesting, MPV, because I was reading an article just today, I think it was in The Guardian, about the how Milan are opening up more bicycle and walking areas because the numbers of cars have dropped. So close as many cities off to cars as possible, and we'll have cleaner air as well. Hi folks, hit the like. I think there's a free look at nudie calendar pics of Max if you do. That's family fun. Remember, killer, family fun. Glenn, welcome. Just caught my friend had a asthma attack and everyone in the doctors moved away. Sorry for that. That's not nice. Yes. Andy says, I've been living like that myself, not adhering to social distancing. Yes, no respect for social distancing. It's not everyone, but many people. One way, I know it's not a nice thing to say, but maybe start coughing. Start, rubbing your nose. Fake a sneeze or something if people get too close to you. And if anyone says anything, you say, sorry, I don't feel very well today, and they should keep their distance. I don't understand how people are not doing that. I haven't experienced it here. Although there are some kids on the street. Now, today I actually saw them wearing masks, but until recently the kids were playing on the street with other kids, running up and down, and their parents were completely indifferent to that. And there is a risk that if the children don't get sick, but they could get infected and take it to their parents, and the parents would give it to the grandparents. Well, Max can clean a room. Everyone else find the competitive self-scoring keeping regarding deaths distasteful. Saw a woman commenting in the newspaper forum saying the French were cheating by not including... This is, Bertie. People have just become statistics at this moment. Oh, look, we have less than you. We're doing better. Any concern I have about the statistics is if the numbers are going down, it means that we're we're doing the right job, but it's not about, well, we're doing better than you or you're doing worse than us. Or, but I have seen that, and it is quite disgusting. Baby Yoda is better than Baby Groot. Yes. Although he's not really a baby because he's something like 50 years old. Is there anything on recovery figures? You can easily get the whole train carriage to yourself by sneezing. I live in Maryland in the US. Our governor just got 500,000 test kits from South Korea. Trump was mad, but we still need the nasal swabs. There is only one company in the US that makes them. Shortages. It's a disgrace that different states are competing with each other to get this equipment. It should be the federal government that organizes it. But of course, how can the federal government organize it if Trump a couple of weeks ago was saying that it didn't even exist? Trump was saying a couple of weeks ago it's a Democratic hoax, Democrat Party hoax. It's an attempt to impeach him. The numbers will go down like a miracle. How can the federal government deal with this crisis if the guy in charge doesn't understand what the hell he's talking about? I'm going to show you a video later with Andrew Cuomo, just to give you a comparison. So maybe, many of us have seen the videos of Donald Trump ranting and raving about this. And you see Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York State, calm, delivering the information in a simple but clear manner, informative, and compassionate but not emotional. The complete opposite of Donald Trump. Got to say, it makes a refreshing change that a sneeze can clear a train carriage, where it used to be. Well said, Killer. I assume you're speaking from personal experience, of course. Trump has been watching too much Alex Jones. Since I've been kicked off Twitter. I've resorted to Facebook instead, which is probably not a good idea. But people on Facebook are complete nuts. But any protest, your protest is going in the wrong direction if Alex Jones turns up and protests with you. I saw a video on Facebook where a journalist asked about Trump not taking it seriously at the start. He said, if I'm president, a lot of people must like me. Then said how he took it seriously. Okay. I watched the Now This News live fact checking on Trump's briefings. They kept talking over capacity they kept talking about capacity to do the testing. The fact checker said that states didn't have the kit to do the darn testing. Isn't it something where you have to have a constant fact checking of Donald Trump? Everything he says has to be fact checked. Nothing we can accept as true. I heard the government were putting together a list of vulnerable people and planning to send it to the supermarkets to ensure that the vulnerable get food delivered. Any word? I don't know about that, but I was maybe if QA Library comes on, he might know about that. But I was reading about it was a video I saw. I may upload it onto YouTube tomorrow if I have a chance. But it was about how if you look at all of the other broadcasts by different governments, apart from the US where Donald Trump is doing it, but if you look at Italy, France, Germany, China, it wasn't China, Japan, sorry, all of them have someone doing sign language, translating the speech into sign language, and in the UK they don't. I don't know why. Well, no, I know why. The Tories don't give a crap. But it was quite jarring, actually. Hey Max, Netherlands extended the lockdown for another month and cancelled all the summer festivals, events and sporting games until the 1st of September. I'm sorry to hear that, Jan Rar. But it's sort of understandable because the summer is the worst period. Sorry about that. It's the worst period for this, not because of the likelihood of the infection increasing by because of the weather or whatever, but because of the amount of social distancing that would be broken, would be disrespected. You would have, how many people would you have out on the streets during these festivals? How many people go to beaches during the summer, go to parks? So I think the summer is going to be over. It's going to be a sad summer, unfortunately. I think we can sort of say goodbye to the summer at the moment. We will be able to open some things, but it's not going to be like last summer, unfortunately. Bearfest is cancelled. Yeah, Trevo. The Oktoberfest in Germany has been cancelled as well, which is it doesn't take place in October. It takes place I think it's the end of September, which is quite a bit away. But they decided to cancel it. I think it's because of it requires a lot of preparation, and you need to buy a lot of the things in advance. So because they couldn't guarantee it, and because it'd be difficult to get their hands on people to be organizers, the best thing is just to cancel it. So this year is going to be the saddest year ever. Respect aside for those who have died or suffered, but also just for the rest of us, it's going to be a sad summer. Edinburgh Fringe is cancelled this year. That's a lot of money in tourism lost. Yeah, a lot of we're going to see some. Yeah, the Fringe Festival is really popular. You get people all over the world coming to Edinburgh for that, so it's going to be a big hit for Scotland. But everywhere is going to be hit. And I was reading about places in the Caribbean islands. They're all closing down, and a lot of the people who work there really live hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, and it's going to really, really harm them because the government that they have I don't think is going to support them. The Stereophonics did a gig in Cardiff and killed more people than cancer. They played it just before. I remember that, and I was criticizing them on Twitter about it, Global Twig. I was saying, this is ridiculous, this is scandalous. How can you have are these people happy with themselves that they are putting all these fans at risk? And of course there were fans interviewed saying, I don't care, it's okay, I don't mind, I'm glad they had the concert. But it's the organizers and the band themselves. Same priest, welcome. Sorry if I didn't say hello before. Funny how all these volunteers in the UK are not mentioned in the news. Yes, so remember, yes, that's an interesting. This is the thing about the media sometimes, is you hear some amazing story, and it remains in the news for a couple of days or maybe even a week, and then it's forgotten about, and we forget about it. Like it's removed from the media, and then we forget about it. Wasn't there something like 750,000 people who had volunteered their time to help out the NHS, I think it was, or the state in general? What happened to that? Where are all these volunteers? Are they working at the moment? Are they providing assistance? I haven't heard anything more about that. So it is funny how we're never mentioned in the news. What do you think about Tim Martin? He will have a new identity. Yeah. But he's the type of person who will come back and he'll open the pub and say, see, it was all, there was nothing to worry about. We only lost about 20,000 people, but they were going to die anyway. That would be his response, of course. They were all Ramoners. The US House and Republican Senate have agreed to CARES 2 bill. The hospitals are getting $100 billion, $25 billion for the nationwide testing plan. That's good news. I really hope that none of that money goes to the oil industry, because they were looking for a handout because of the drop in oil production. The oil price, sorry. And I really hope they're not going to get some sort of subsidy. I know that Trump wanted to give them a bailout or some type of a grant or subsidy or something. But it wasn't looking likely to get through the Congress because the Democrats are in control of Congress and very few Democrats are receiving donations from the oil industry. So I hope that's going to happen, in the sense that I hope they're not going to get a bailout or any sort of support. We need to move away from fossil fuels. We need to understand the value of clean air. If you look at many of the areas worst hit with the highest death rates, were in areas which had terrible pollution levels. For example, here in Lombardy is one of the most polluted parts of Italy, maybe even one of the polluted parts of Europe. And air quality is strongly linked to the numbers of deaths and the likelihood of recovering. In all honesty, Tim Martin may have lost, and a lot of people who drink at his pub lost the people who drink at his pub. Yeah, his attitude is completely ridiculous. I understand that he didn't want it, but if you know it's going to happen, just stay quiet. Just go along with it. Did he honestly believe that he would be able to stop it somehow? Call in a favor from Boris? It doesn't work like that. My local Spoons has its own morgue. My sister is one of the NHS volunteers, and her experience has been frustrating. She says there have been too many volunteers and not enough of them to do as the government weren't expecting the numbers they got. That was a question I had at the time. Who's going to train all these people? Who's going to organize these people? One thing is having huge numbers, but it's probably better to have a smaller number that you can organize and facilitate than having a huge number of people that becomes chaotic to organize. I'm not criticizing the government here, but I understand that they didn't expect to have so many people. But maybe it would be better to turn some people away. Just say, look, thanks for your how can I say, volunteering. Thanks for your time, but we don't need you at this moment, or we'll keep you in reserve, when we do need you, and then organize smaller teams to do the work that's necessary. But I understand her frustration. Virgin should be called Virgin. They have been I imagine it shouldn't be called Virgin because they're screwing everyone for a long time. So this is something I talked about a little bit on one of the other streams, I think. So you have Richard Branson asking for a handout. Now you have to remember, you have to get inside Richard Branson's head. So billionaires like him, even though they pay almost zero in taxes to the state, they feel that they still pay too much. And they feel that, okay, well, I'm paying a lot of money, more than anyone else, so I deserve to get something back. I deserve a bailout. Look at all these jobs I create. This is their, I'm not saying I agree with this, obviously I don't, but this is their mindset. I create lots of jobs. This disaster is not my doing. It's probably the government's fault. And I need to be compensated. And if I'm not compensated, then I'll leave people at home. And these people won't get any money. But that's not my problem. That's the government's problem. So it's a way of shifting the blame onto the government and saying the government needs to... the government created this problem for me. I didn't create the problem. So the government should fix the problem. And I shouldn't put my hand in my pocket. For them, it's a type of twisted principle they would have. Hi, Bob. Hi, Val. So they would say, hi, Mrs. VSN. I think it's a sort of twisted logic they have that they say, look, I create all these jobs. I give all this money to the state. And all I'm asking is for a little bit of support. I deserve that, don't I? So that's the way they would see it. Richard Branson can sell his Caribbean island. He can sell a few airplanes. He's already laid off his workforce. Yeah, it's not very good optics what he's doing. He could actually present himself as something of a savior if he wanted. And I think he would come out better from that. Imagine if he had done he said, look, I'm going to sell an island. And I'm going to use this money to pay the salaries of the Virgin staff. I'm going to give free flights to NHS staff in the future or something like that. And he could actually be treated during this crisis as something of a hero. But instead he's not doing that. Because maybe, and I didn't think he was like that, but maybe he's something of an asshole. Or an arsehole, I should say. From Ireland. Arsehole, not asshole. As ever, the highlight of my washing up duty, Max Leicester. I need to have a more radio voice. You know those people on the radio have these wonderful voices that you can listen to all day long. Branson has more front than a rat with the gold tooth. These comments are fantastic. Actually, somebody had asked me if it's possible to convert this into a podcast. So I had actually converted one of the live streams into a podcast, into an MP3 podcast to upload on a website. But there was some sort of problem with the website. Maybe it needed more hamsters. But I will try and find another tool to use. So if you want, you can put it on MP3 and you can listen to the podcast on your MP3 player. Virgin and the like, they want to keep the profits in the good times and bad times. The state to pick up the tab the tab in the bad times. Richard Branson is a fake plastic hippie with the heart of a serial killer. Branson's ego would be larger than his island. Radio people have microphone setups that makes them sound different. Yeah, probably. Like James O'Brien. Can I make Max and all aware of his YouTube video discussion on the Labour leak by some of the most stupid, ignorant people ever seen on YouTube? Podcast was my request. Thanks for looking it up, Max. Yeah, so Stuart, apologies you didn't see anything yet. I will look into it again because I tried a few tools, but some of them were not as good as the others. I really wanted to use Spotify, but unfortunately you need to have a distributor and things like that. I was like, okay, I'm not going down that road. Dr. Johan, welcome. Hope you're well. Hold up well. Yeah, I had some potato chips, or crisps as we call them. they're all gone, of course, so I'll have to get some more later. But I'm staying with you guys through the night. I'd love to do radio. This is Maximilian Robespierre with you through the night. Bribe the podcast folk with the calendar. Are you sure that's a bribe, not a threat? Virgin in Australia doesn't even pay tax and asks for a bailout from the government. Max, did you listen to James O'Brien yesterday? I was on. Oh no, you were on. I didn't. I think I need to listen to it live. Although I'm Incorrigible normally records all of the James O'Brien's recording shows, I should say. So damn, I wish I. So you were on the show. You actually got on the show. That's amazing. What was the topic about? I didn't hear it, so I don't know what it was. What's your opinion on Matt Hancock's performance in the handling of this crisis? I'm surprised he's still there. I'm surprised he hasn't been fired. So let me open up the other article I wanted to show you. Where is it? And then we'll read the article. Just a moment. Creepy gobshite. Yes. Release the calendar or put a helium filter on your podcast voice. You can download James O'Brien for 7 days. From Global Player. Okay, I didn't know about that. Shame on me. Original Jedi Records records all the O'Briens that I'm Incorrigible misses out. That's great. Scott's dog, welcome. Sorry if I didn't say hello before. Surely both him and Patel need to get an opportune moment. Yes. If you go onto the LBC catch up, I was at 11:16. Topic was if people may think they get Boris wrong after the article. Okay, so let me take note of that because I'm dying to hear about that. So that was yesterday. Okay. Hancock is a bear. The government are running scared of the media. They are throwing any MPs or ministers up to speak lately. That's something very interesting is how the BBC has been extremely critical of the government of late. And that's something you hadn't seen until really... It's really something that's happened after the election. Now, maybe they were like, okay, we have to treat the government with respect, up to the time of the election. But after, they've been much more critical of the actions taken by the government, especially during this crisis. So it says here, Matt Hancock forced to deny political opt-out from EU ventilators. So If you remember well, so you remember a few weeks ago, there was this scandal that broke that the EU had a plan to buy hundreds of ventilators. And the UK responded by saying, oh no, we didn't get the email. And of course, this was just a pile of crap. But it turns out that it was a political decision, a Brexiteer decision, perhaps. So the health secretary, and Matt Hancock, of course, is a Brexiteer. Although it's interesting because he was a Brexiteer after the vote, but before he wasn't all that gone on leaving the European Union. So there are some videos of him saying, no, we shouldn't leave the European Union a few years ago, long before the referendum. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has been forced to deny explosive claims by a civil servant at the top of government that ministers made a political decision to opt out of an EU scheme to bulk buy ventilators and protective equipment for NHS workers. So this is an absolute disaster, because just a few days ago, last Friday, the government were supposed to buy PPEs from Turkey for NHS staff last weekend, because they were running out of protective equipment. I think it was gowns was the big problem, because they couldn't get them produced in the UK. So they had to order them in from Turkey. That was last Friday. And on Friday, a government spokesperson said, yeah, we will have them this weekend. Saturday passed, there were no gowns. Sunday passed, no gowns. Now today is Tuesday, allegedly earlier today, I didn't see an update on it, but allegedly today they would have these gowns brought in. So originally there was the idea of bringing them in by commercial aircraft, but that didn't pan out. There was some bureaucratic problem. I don't know how, there was a bureaucratic problem. So they ended up sending an RAF aircraft to pick up this, I think it's like 20 tons of masks and gowns for NHS staff. So if it arrives on Wednesday, I don't know if maybe it has already arrived, but if it hasn't, it will be Wednesday when it arrives, almost a week late. And that will do for a certain amount of time. And then what? So it goes on to say, following comments to a select committee by the Foreign Office Permanent Secretary Sir Simon MacDonald, Hancock used Downing Street's daily press briefing to rebut the damaging claims, which risk accusations that ministers have put Brexit ideology ahead of people's lives. What more is there to say? I have been saying this for months, for years, how they will always put Brexit before everything else. The Brexit idea, and I never thought it would get to the stage where the NHS staff would risk their lives for Brexit, would be risking their lives because of a Brexit decision. I talked about how the NHS would be sold off, but this would be a gradual process. This instead is, we have the possibility to buy equipment. And imagine if, being part of the EU buying scheme. How much power has the EU to negotiate on prices, on shipping times? If you have the EU calling you on the phone saying, we need this, this, and this, you're much more likely to jump than if it's a small single country. Pauline, welcome to the stream. This is a disgrace, and this is the Brexit mentality. This is another example of Brexit, the Brexit mentality. We don't need the EU, we can do it ourselves. And this is the result of what happens. We can do it ourselves. Okay, well, instead of having the equipment today or tomorrow or the day after, you have to wait almost a week. And you have to jump through hoops. Can you imagine the types of phone calls that were taking place between the government, members of the government, and the Turkish government? Okay. I have spoken to the Foreign Secretary, Hancock said an hour after MacDonald's remarks, which he retracted on Tuesday night. As far as I'm aware, there is no As far as I'm aware, there is no political decision there was no political decision not to participate. Instead of saying, no, there was no political decision. This was a logistical decision. No, as far as I know. That means that he knows there was a political decision. Has anyone seen the picture of Tory Marie Caulfield in full PPE? No, I haven't. They said on the news that Bozo and Trump had talked on the phone today and agreed importance of a free trade agreement. Disaster for UK. Hit the like button. Yes, please do. I haven't seen Glasgow Kiss tonight. I hope Glasgow Kiss is fine. Self-Preservation Society. But this was absolutely no reason not to participate in the procurement scheme. It's not even for Brexit. See, it wasn't a requirement. Okay, you have to be a member of the European Union. This was an option that the UK could have used. But you had these idiot Brexiteers saying, "I don't want to do it because Brexit, because sovereignty, because we've been lying to people for so long that I'm trying to get my head around this. Was it they were doing it because they really, really didn't want to do it with the EU, or they didn't do it because they didn't want to be seen doing it with the EU? That this would somehow undermine their position. To hell with the Brexiteer voters. They will get over it. The people who need this equipment will not get over it. We received an invitation. We did receive an invitation in the Department of Health, and it was put to me. And it was put to me to be asked, and we joined. So we are now members of that scheme. Sorry, I don't understand. However, a spokesman for the European Commission swiftly rebutted any suggestion that the UK was currently involved in the EU's efforts to buy masks, gowns, ventilators, or other laboratory supplies. They are most welcome to participate in future rounds, the spokesman said. So the EU said, look, if you want, you can become part of this. But the Brexiteers said, no, we don't want to do that. I don't know what to say here. Would it really be that damaging to national pride, to Brexiteer pride, to say, look, even do it on the quiet. Get the equipment and then say, that was just an international one or something like, you could have made up an excuse. People would forgive it. It said, look, okay, well, you got it through the EU. Oh, right, okay. The Remainers will be happy for a moment, and then we'll move on to the next crisis. This was just complete selfishness on behalf of the government. The EU launched 4 rounds of procurement of personal protective equipment, ventilators, and laboratory supplies in late February and March. So even in February, there was a possibility to do this. In February. This is before Boris Johnson was shaking hands with people. I think it was around that same time. Boris Johnson was shaking hands with people and saying that, we can take it on the chin. Maybe he said, we don't need it. The EU says, do you want to buy this equipment? We don't need it. We're going to take it on the chin. They will have to just go back to the chat for a moment. Hancock said he will give the go ahead and join the scheme, but doesn't say was this before or after the initial offer. Being clever with his words, of course. So all attempt to deflect. They will have to explain their insane Brexit reasoning in full to an inquiry. Unfortunately, Tony C., I don't think who will be brought before this inquiry, and it will be so late in the day that many people will have moved on from it. Unfortunately, you have inquiries, but at the end, no one really gets punished. It's a bit embarrassing for the politician, but then that politician has been removed so much from the politics of the day. If Boris Johnson is brought in front of an inquiry, probably will never happen. But even if he were, it would be probably 10 years from now, and most of the people will be saying, well, Boris Johnson, was he Prime Minister at the time? Really? Oh, I don't remember. Did he do something? Oh, well, it's not that serious. We've moved on from that. That's the type of attitude there will be, of course. And then it'll be just a slap on the wrists and go about your business. I'm beginning to think that the two nation leaders who are under a suspicion of USSR shenanigans has been oddly lackadaisical in their COVID reaction. Which nations are you talking about? Am I overthinking it? It was a public inquiry, but yes, a few years away. The problem is the government have a lot to answer for, but nothing will ever happen, like the Russian report. I think there may be an inquiry eventually, but there'll be no one punished. That's the problem. Glenfell Mark II, yeah. What has happened to Glenfell? I understand this issue has absorbed all of the news, the UK and US. Okay, sorry, Joshua. Yes. Trump is a disaster in the US, and Boris, where is Boris at the moment? He's still in checkers. It's strange how he was able to give quite a long video when the day after he got out, and now we haven't heard a peep from him. Max, will they rig the inquiry with their own people on the committee? Probably. Yeah, it depends on who the party is in power at that time. If it's the Conservatives, they will rig it. If it's Labour, it depends on how aggressive they are. But unfortunately, with the inquiries, very little actually happens. It's like, these people did wrong. Okay. Then you need to have a case taken against those individuals. But it'd be nice to have a QC respond to this. I used to, when I was on Twitter, I followed a QC who was good at giving information, legal advice, and information about legal issues. But unfortunately, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm still in the doghouse, waiting to be released. I'm still under quarantine, waiting to be released. I'll just go on with this. So, UK officials failed to take up any invitation to join the steering committee of participating countries that issued orders for medical equipment until the 19th of March, after the bulk purchases has been made. When Downing Street has previously been questioned about the lack of involvement, officials and ministers have said the government failed to take part in the schemes because, owing to an initial communication problem, the UK did not receive invitation in time, which is just a pile of crap, because to say we didn't receive the email, first of all, you don't receive all the information by email. You have diplomats, you have people who are involved with this purchase who would have knowledge of this. It's a very lame excuse to say, oh, well, we didn't get the email. You know about this. There is this crisis going on. This is something that happens all the time. There are procurement procedures. It would have been very simple for anyone to say, look, there is this crisis. We hear about it. It was public knowledge. Not public, it was knowledge within diplomatic circles, at least. So it's not just one email. I think that probably, some people are probably convinced by that. But really, who does it work on? Trump apparently supporting his administration lockdown policy while simultaneously undermining it by telling people to protest for their liberation. You couldn't make it up. if you tried. The reality is stranger than fiction. It's foreign interference into elections. The Intel report. Does it say Russia? We don't know. We don't know who. Sorry, we don't know who has seen the report. Maybe try the other direction. Today's news: White House planning push to slash government regulations. Oh, fantastic! This is the priority. If you're an extreme right winger, as well as talking to Boris on trade. On LBC Radio, the UKPP supplier with plenty of stock has tried multiple times to contact. This was another issue. Yeah, there've been high double guitars. There have been many UK producers or suppliers who've been attempting to contact the government saying, look, we can increase capacity, we can increase supply if you need it, and they hear nothing back. So I really don't understand if it's the Tories don't give a crap and they're hoping that the problem would just go away by itself. You know, it's like my house is on fire. Well, if I ignore it, maybe the fire will burn itself out and then I can just get on with, as normal. This seems to be the attitude. We should, the house is on fire. Your neighbor says, look, do you want, the rest of the neighbors have had a bit of a whip round, and we've collected buckets of water. Do you want us to throw it? No, it's okay. The fire would burn itself out probably. Or I didn't get the text about all this water that you want to hand over to me to put out the fire. Night Raven, welcome to the stream. Welcome Simon Carr. So I don't know if I had said hello before. But why is Matt Hancock still there? Maybe it's because he is a useful tool. Herd immunity, Max. They're still trying this under the radar. To be fair, the Dems don't exactly have a big pool of candidates to draw from. Sorry, Trump will win for sure. As bad as he is, Biden looks like someone just sprung him from a nursing home. I liked Bernie, yes. Me too. The Home Office didn't answer the calls because they were having a mop with the antibacterial. Just to show you the difference with leadership. And this is something quite damning also for, hopefully it works. This is quite damning also for the Democrats with Joe Biden. Joe Biden should be using this as an opportunity to bash Donald Trump every moment he has. But Joe Biden is, resorting to radio silence here. But in steps someone who's like a leader. So let's hear what Andrew Cuomo has to. So this is, I'm not going to show you the whole video. It's about half an hour long. Hopefully it loads correctly. No. Let me see if I can. It keeps. I think it's something to do with. No, there's a problem with my tool. I need to change the website. Let's see if I can open it in YouTube instead. Just bear with me a moment, guys.
Fairly constant.
I'll find the video in another way.
And put it out there. Who has been
Okay, so this is a press conference from Andrew Cuomo, the governor of the state of New York, giving a daily briefing. Just compare this to Donald Trump for a moment, okay?
True treasure to the people of the state of New York. And to Kathy Hochul's left, Dr. Candace Johnson from Roswell Park Cancer Institute, which is where we are today in Buffalo. Roswell Park is one of the leading cancer institutes in the United States and a real jewel for the state of New York, and I thank her very much for their hospitality today. Let me give you some of the facts today. One of the points we want to make today is we're in Western New York, Buffalo. We've been talking a lot about New York City and the situation in New York City and Long Island and Westchester and Rockland, the suburbs of New York City. But just as we're seeing across the country, this virus presents a slightly different problem in different parts of the country. It also presents a different problem in different parts of the state. Overall, the total hospitalizations are basically flat from where they were yesterday. And as you see, the overall curve is on the way down, and that is good news, certainly. The net change in hospitalizations is down, not down as much as we would like. Change in intubations is down, and that's always good news, because intubations means the person is on a ventilator. 80% of the time when people are on a ventilator, they don't come off the ventilator in a successful way. The number of new people in the state who walked in the door yesterday or were diagnosed with COVID is 1,300. That is down, and that's good news, relative to really bad news, which is what was happening up until then, right? We have to remember our calculus of good, our definition of good has changed here. Good is now not terrible, but on an absolute scale, 1,300 people walk in the door with COVID on a single day in the state of New York. That would not be good news in any other context besides the context we're living in. This is Erie County. Buffalo is in Erie County, New York. And you see the numbers.
Okay, I'll just stop it there because he's just giving data. But compare this to, and I'm not advocating for Andrew Cuomo, but compare this to what's happening with Donald Trump and compare this to what's happening with Joe Biden. Where is Joe Biden? Joe Biden is not leading the charge against this virus, but he should be responding to Donald Trump now. He should be every day smashing Trump, explaining why this problem has gotten so bad, how it's gone out of control. I think a lot of people see Andrew Cuomo, and some people are actually asking for Andrew Cuomo to step forward and lead the Democratic charge in November against Trump. That Biden should step aside and let someone like Cuomo take his place. I'm really disappointed with Joe Biden. But I think I've said this before. I think he has issues. I don't think he's up to the job. Where is Joe hiding? He is hidden away. And I think his strategy, or maybe his team's strategy during the primaries, was to hide Joe as much as possible. When Joe isn't talking, his approval ratings go up. When he starts speaking, his approval ratings drop. But that's okay for a certain amount of time. But you can't run a general election campaign like that. Now, the only way this could actually benefit Joe Biden is if there are no debates, if there are no rallies, and if everything is done through, carefully controlled video feeds or something like that, where Joe Biden reads from a teleprompter, and there is no back and forth or anything like that. Joe's in a nursing home, but it's quite depressing. Maximilian, he is just search for his ads on YouTube. You're wrong about Joe. Joe is in Czechos and Boris. They're having a shared fridge. He's hiding because of the scandal. It's like Groundhog Day. Mainstream media is covering Trump 24/7. No equal time for the Dems. I understand, but I think if somebody stepped forward and started attacking Trump, they need to take away some of that. They need to be seen as someone who can lead the nation. That's one of the reasons many people have been talking about Andrew Cuomo, comparing Cuomo to Trump. And I think this, the numbers are starting to decline in New York State, and I think this could be taken as a victory, or be seen as a victory for Andrew Cuomo. I hope you're wrong about Joe. Biden can't think on his feet. He's got next to zero spontaneity. The cat just brought me a mouse in the house. Oh my god. Just cats do that. I think it's like a way of their way of saying, look, I've earned my keep. Because they sit around the house all day. Wouldn't it be great being a cat? What are the worries of a cat? They sleep most of the day. My cat would actually, I think he would sleep all day if it was possible in my house. But and I wouldn't mind him sleeping inside, but he always scratches to go out at night. My dog catches a mouse and rats. He's a very good boy. Oh my god. I hope he doesn't bring them in. A Tory mouse. Hancock is still there because the alternative is someone that might do it right and tell the truth. Yeah, that's a very good point, John. I think, and I talked about this, how Donald Trump, Boris Johnson surrounded himself with people who will always say yes, who will always agree with Boris Johnson. People who are, apart from the Chancellor, I think, but most of them are weak people. And they'll do whatever Boris wants them to do. They'll do whatever the party decides. Glasgow Kiss, welcome. Good to see you again. I was a bit worried about you. I was afraid that you had forgotten about the stream, or maybe you were indisposed, or maybe you were preparing a calendar of your own, a rival calendar, perhaps. Too busy having an argument with an angry idiot at lockdown. Fun times. Oh. Was it online or in person? Cats can't go on internet to watch good videos. I was just wanting to follow you on Twitter. I'm sorry, Shamila. I was kicked off Twitter recently. Well, not. I was suspended. So I'm hoping to be back on Twitter soon, but it depends on the Twitter gods. He just kills them and doesn't run around with them. It's the cats with thumbs that you have to be concerned with. Could your cat be trained to kill rats? Big wig wearing rats with fake tan. One of my cats brought in 2 newborn kittens. Just what I needed to. Another Discord server. Ah, okay. Okay, so I want to show you another article. Where is it? Hopefully you'll be able to see this, because for some reason this website, PBS, has some problems. And Trump still has his Twitter account. Yes, and I've been kicked